"Take me as your concubine, I can do whatever you want," said the poor mom with her son. The woman, named Amina, lived in a small, dusty village where life had never been easy. Her home was no more than a tiny, crumbling hut made of mud and sticks. The roof leaked every time it rained, and the floor was often damp from the cold winds that blew through the cracks. Despite the hardships, Amina always tried to keep her son, Hamid, warm and fed. Hamid was only 6 years old, but he had already witnessed more struggles than most children experience in a lifetime. Amina had lost her husband several years ago. He had been a kind man, but illness had taken him far too soon. Since then, Amina had been alone, carrying the responsibility of raising Hamid by herself. She had no money, no family willing to help, and no one in the village who could offer her support. Every day was a challenge, and every small task seemed like a mountain to climb. She worked odd jobs whenever she could find them, cleaning, washing clothes, running errands, but the work never paid enough to cover even the smallest needs. Despite their poverty, Amina was determined to give Hamid a life better than hers. She often reminded herself that her suffering did not matter as long as her son was safe, healthy, and happy. Hamid, on the other hand, was a bright and cheerful child. He did not understand the full extent of their problems, but he felt his mother's pain. Every morning, he would wake up to the sound of Amina preparing a small, simple breakfast, sometimes just bread and water. He would eat quickly, knowing that his mother was always hungry too. Amina would often go without so that her son could eat first, a sacrifice she made daily without complaint. The villagers often looked at Amina with pity, whispering about how difficult her life must be. Some even called her unlucky, but Amina refused to let their words affect her. She knew that life had been unfair, but she also knew that complaining would not feed Hamid or keep him warm at night. She had learned to endure the cold winds, the hunger, and the loneliness because she had no choice. Every hardship was a test of her strength, and she was determined to pass it for her son's sake. Amina and Hamid's days were long and tiring. In the mornings, they would walk to the village well to fetch water, a task that could take hours. The sun would be high in the sky by the time they returned, and yet there was still work to do. Amina would scrub clothes in the river, sometimes under the scorching sun, while Hamid played quietly nearby. He would collect sticks for firewood or help her carry water, eager to contribute in any small way he could. Despite their situation, there were moments of laughter and joy. Hamid loved listening to his mother's stories about her childhood, tales of a time when life seemed a little easier and dreams seemed possible. Evenings were the hardest. With no money for proper food, Amina would often prepare a small meal, sometimes just rice or a few vegetables, and they would eat together in silence. Hamid would occasionally ask for more, but Amina would smile and tell him he had eaten enough. She never wanted him to feel the full weight of their poverty, and so she tried to mask her worries with love and care. After dinner, they would sit outside under the stars, Amina telling Hamid about the world beyond their village. She spoke of cities with tall buildings, schools where children learned many things, and parks where laughter filled the air. These stories filled Hamid's imagination, giving him hope and dreams despite their difficult reality. Amina's life was not just about surviving, it was also about protecting her son from the harshness of the world. She knew that people could be cruel, especially to those who had nothing. She warned Hamid to be careful, to always respect others, and to never trust strangers blindly. She herself had experienced betrayal and disappointment, and she wanted to shield her son from similar pain. But no matter how much she tried, the reality of their poverty often followed them. There were days when the villagers' judgmental looks and whispers became unbearable, when the cold and hunger seemed impossible to overcome, and when Amina felt like giving up. Yet she never did. Her love for Hamid gave her strength that she did not know she possessed. One particularly harsh winter, the village experienced heavy rains that flooded the small homes, including Amina's hut. Water seeped into the walls and soaked their belongings. Their clothes were wet, their bedding ruined, and the cold pierced through everything. Amina worked tirelessly to protect Hamid from the storm, covering him with extra blankets and holding him close throughout the night. She whispered words of comfort, telling him that everything would be okay, even though her heart was heavy with worry. The villagers had little sympathy as they were struggling too, but Amina did not complain. She simply focused on keeping her son safe. Even in these harsh conditions, Amina taught Hamid the importance of hope and perseverance. She reminded him that life could be hard, but kindness and hard work could make a difference. She would often tell him, "No matter what happens, my son, we will face it together. You are my strength, and I will always protect you." Hamid, despite his young age, began to understand the depth of his mother's love. He tried to help her as much as he could, fetching firewood, helping with chores, and even sharing the little food he received with her. Their bond grew stronger every day, built on love, sacrifice, and mutual respect. One day, while collecting firewood, Amina met another woman in the village who had a small piece of land to sell. The woman offered Amina some work on her farm in exchange for a little money. It was hard labor, but Amina accepted without hesitation, knowing that every penny counted. Hamid would sometimes accompany her, helping carry water to the crops and learning about the world outside their hut. These small moments of hope gave Amina the strength to continue. She dreamed of a day when she and Hamid could live without fear of hunger or cold, when Hamid could go to school and learn freely, and when life could be just a little kinder. Despite her tireless efforts, Amina often faced moments of despair. There were nights when she cried silently, clutching Hamid to her chest, wondering how she could ever give him the life he deserved. Poverty had a way of breaking the spirit, but Amina refused to let it break her completely. She reminded herself that every sacrifice, every sleepless night, and every hardship was for her son's future. Her love became her armor, and her determination became her guide. As the story of Amina and Hamid continues, it becomes clear that their struggle is not just about survival. It is about the unbreakable bond between a mother and her child. Every day, Amina teaches Hamid the values of love, hope, and perseverance. Every hardship they face becomes a lesson in courage and resilience. And every small moment of happiness, whether a shared meal or a night under the stars, becomes a treasure that reminds them both of the beauty that still exists in the world. Amina's life, though filled with struggle, is also filled with hope. She dreams of a day when her son can live freely, without fear, without hunger, and without the weight of poverty. And as she holds him close each night, whispering stories of hope and dreams, she knows that her sacrifices are not in vain. Her love is a shield, her determination is a beacon, and her story is a testament to the strength of a mother's heart. Years passed since Amina had first struggled to survive in her small, dusty village. Life had tested her in ways most people could not imagine. There had been long nights without food, harsh winters with barely any warmth, and countless days when the weight of responsibility threatened to overwhelm her. Yet through all of it, Amina's love for her son, Hamid, and her determination to protect and provide for him had carried her forward. Every hardship had been a lesson, every sacrifice a building block for a brighter future. By this time, Amina's small business had grown steadily. Her handmade goods were no longer just sold in the village market. Traders from nearby towns came to buy them. Word of her honesty, dedication, and the quality of her products had spread, and customers trusted her. Farid, who had continued to support her quietly, watched with pride as Amina transformed from a struggling woman into a confident, respected entrepreneur. Yet even with this success, Amina never forgot the struggles that had brought her here, and she continued to live humbly, teaching Hamid the importance of humility and gratitude. Hamid, now older and more aware of the world around him, had grown into a compassionate and responsible young boy. He excelled in school and showed a natural curiosity about life. But more importantly, he carried the values his mother had instilled in him: kindness, resilience, honesty, and perseverance. He often helped Amina with her business, learning not only practical skills but also life lessons. He understood that success was not just about money, but about character, integrity, and the courage to face challenges with dignity. Despite the improvements in their life, Amina never allowed herself to forget the struggles that had once defined her days. She often reflected on the long nights when she had no food for Hamid, the moments of fear when illness struck, and the times when the world seemed indifferent to her suffering. Those memories, though painful, had shaped her into the strong, compassionate woman she had become. They reminded her that survival alone was not enough. Life was about creating a future that honored her sacrifices and ensured that Hamid could thrive. One morning, as Amina prepared to open her small shop, she noticed a group of villagers gathered nearby. They were whispering, pointing, and watching her with curiosity. Amina felt a moment of anxiety but stepped forward with confidence. The villagers had come to see the woman who had risen from hardship to create a successful business. They had seen her perseverance, her integrity, and the love she poured into her son's upbringing. Slowly, their whispers turned into admiration. Some came to offer congratulations, others to seek advice, and a few younger women approached her, hoping to learn from her journey. Amina welcomed them all with warmth and humility. She spoke openly about the struggles she had faced, the mistakes she had made, and the lessons she had learned. She told them how hope, perseverance, and the support of kind people like Farid had helped her rise from the depths of despair. Her story inspired the villagers, showing them that life could change with courage, hard work, and a heart full of love. For the first time, Amina felt that her experiences had a purpose beyond survival. They could guide, inspire, and uplift others. Farid continued to remain a quiet presence in her life, offering guidance when needed but never intruding. He respected her independence and admired the way she balanced strength with compassion. Their relationship had evolved into one of mutual respect and trust, built on honesty and understanding. Farid had not only provided support during her darkest days, but he had also become a witness to her transformation, a transformation born of love, courage, and unyielding determination. As Amina looked at Hamid, she felt a sense of fulfillment she had never experienced before. He was growing into a young man of integrity, shaped by the values she had taught him. She knew that her sacrifices had not been in vain. Every sleepless night, every hunger-filled day, every moment of fear had contributed to the life he now had. And as she held his hand, she felt the quiet pride of a mother who had faced the impossible and had succeeded not through luck, but through resilience, wisdom, and love. Amina's journey had also taught her the importance of giving back. With her growing stability, she began to help other families in need. She offered guidance, shared resources, and provided opportunities for those struggling as she once had. She created a small network of support in the village, teaching that compassion and community could help people rise above hardship. Her actions inspired others, creating a ripple effect that strengthened not only her family but the entire village. Through these acts of kindness, Amina transformed her personal success into a collective triumph. One day, Farid approached Amina with an idea that could change her life even further. "Amina," he said, "you have built something remarkable here, not just for yourself but for everyone around you. I want to help you expand, not just in business but in influence. You have a story and wisdom that can guide many. Will you allow me to help you reach more people?" Amina considered his words carefully. She had always been cautious about accepting help, but she knew that this opportunity could allow her to create an even greater impact. With humility and determination, she agreed. Through this new opportunity, Amina began to share her story widely. She spoke at gatherings, taught young women about entrepreneurship and perseverance, and became a mentor to those who felt trapped by circumstances. Her life became a symbol of hope, a testament to the power of love, courage, and resilience. People traveled from far and wide to learn from her, to witness how a woman who had once faced hunger and despair could rise to become a pillar of her community. Meanwhile, Hamid continued to flourish. He excelled in school, showing both intelligence and compassion. He often accompanied his mother when she spoke to villagers and visitors, learning not only business skills but also the art of leadership, empathy, and integrity. Amina saw in him the reflection of her values, the embodiment of her sacrifices, and the promise of a future built on strength and kindness. She felt that the journey she had endured had prepared him to face the world with courage and dignity. Even in moments of joy and success, Amina remembered the struggles that had shaped her. She continued to live humbly, always mindful of those who were less fortunate. Her story was never about wealth or power. It was about the human spirit, about the strength that comes from love and perseverance. She taught Hamid that true success was not measured by material gain, but by the lives one touches, the values one upholds, and the courage one shows in the face of adversity. As the years passed, Amina and Hamid's life transformed completely. They no longer feared hunger or insecurity. Their home was warm, safe, and filled with laughter. Amina's business prospered, Hamid excelled in his studies, and the village had come to respect and admire them both. But beyond material comfort, Amina had achieved something far greater. She had created a life of dignity, hope, and opportunity, not just for herself and her son, but for everyone around her. In quiet moments, Amina often reflected on her journey. She remembered the long nights of fear and despair, the moments when she had felt hopeless, and the day she had spoken to Farid with words born of desperation. Those moments had tested her, challenged her, and shaped her. They had taught her the meaning of resilience, the power of hope, and the depth of a mother's love. And now, looking at the life she had built, she felt a profound sense of gratitude. Her story became a lesson for the entire village and beyond. People learned that no matter how dire circumstances might seem, courage, perseverance, and love could change the course of life. They saw that asking for help with honesty and dignity did not diminish one's worth, and that compassion and guidance could create opportunities where none seemed to exist. Amina had shown that life's darkest moments could lead to the brightest triumphs. In the end, Amina's journey was not just about survival, it was about transformation. She had risen from poverty and fear to become a woman of strength, wisdom, and influence. She had guided Hamid to grow into a compassionate and capable young man. And through her actions, she had created a ripple effect of hope, inspiring others to face their challenges with courage and resilience. Amina's life story concluded not with wealth or fame, but with dignity, love, and fulfillment. She had proved that even the most desperate situations could be overcome through perseverance, integrity, and the unyielding bond between a mother and her child. And as she looked at Hamid, smiling and confident, she knew that every sacrifice, every hardship, and every tear had been worth it. Their life was a testament to the power of hope, the strength of the human spirit, and the enduring impact of love.